Hello and welcome to our viewers on PBS in America and around the globe. A jury in the US state of Minnesota has found a white former police officer guilty of manslaughter for the fatal shooting of an unarmed black man. The prosecution argued that Kimberly Potter had shown culpable negligence when she killed Daunte Wright during a routine traffic check in April. The jury was shown body cam footage, stopping short of the moment when the victim died. Well, Kimberly Potter told the court she thought she'd drawn her taser rather than her handgun when she shot Mr. Wright in the chest. Well, outside the court, his mother, Katie Wright, gave her reaction to the verdict.
The moment that we heard guilty on the manslaughter 1, emotions, every single emotion that you could imagine just running through your body at that moment. I kind of let out a yelp because it was built up in the anticipation of what was to come while we were waiting for the last few days. And now we've been able to process it. We want to thank the entire prosecution team. We want to thank community support, everybody who's been out there that has supported us in this long fight for accountability.
That was Katie Wright speaking earlier. Well, Daunte Wright's killing sparked several nights of angry protests. It happened just 10 miles from the court where another white police officer, Derek Chauvin, was being tried for the murder of George Floyd. Well, let's speak now to Sonia Gipson Rankin, a law professor at the University of New Mexico. She's also former president of the New Mexico Black Lawyers Association. Sonia, given prosecutors agreed this was a mistake and an accident, are you surprised at all by the verdict?
I'm pleased by the verdict. I'm not sure about the word surprise. I think Daunte Wright's mom said it best. You feel every emotion because this was an avoidable death. And what you pointed out is exactly true, right? That the use of the firearms was reckless. The use of force was unreasonable. But most critically, this accident was actually criminal.
And would you say it could be a sea change in terms of how convictions of these sorts are carried out? Because we've seen lots of these cases recently, but there's obviously a lot more cases where maybe the police don't have this kind of verdict and they aren't held maybe accountable.
You raise a really good point. What we're looking at is that this specific case was dealing with weapon confusion. And we've had about less than 20 instances in the United States in the last 2 decades or so of weapon confusion, of law enforcement reaching for tasers as opposed to firearms. And out of those, about a third of the police officers have been indicted. 3 were found guilty. So I'm not sure if we're necessarily going to see a sea change, but we're really going to be diving into this deeper question. What is the implicit reason that someone like Kim Potter looked at Daunte Wright and reached for a weapon in the first place? That's what the prosecutor was most concerned about.
So prosecutors were saying actually a weapon of any sort shouldn't have been involved here. They should have, dealt with this in a way that didn't involve any force or violence.
Exactly. They saw that even the decision to reach for a taser was outside of the standard operating procedures that the police department was told to use.
And I mean, there's a lot of discourse around this at the moment. Is there any kind of sense that maybe laws need to change, or is it more through these courts that an example is being set and maybe that will trickle down to the rest of the police force?
I believe it's going to have to be both and. We're going to have to continue to see the laws that are very clear about what kind of behaviors are going to be found to be illegal. And we're also going to have real one-on-one individual training and better oversight and assessment of our law enforcement officers as they go into these very tense moments.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the sentence that's given. That's all we've got time for. Sonia Gipson Rankin live there in Albuquerque. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us about that.